Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Weatherby.
Hello, gorgeous. Hello, gorgeous. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. It's not how you go, it's how you land. 100 to 1 shot, they called him a klutz. And outrun the favorite, all he needs is the guts. Your final return will not diminish. You can be the cream of the crop. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And you're gonna finish on top. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. It's not how you go, it's how you land. 100 to 1 shot, they called him a klutz. Can outrun the favorite, all he needs is the guts. Your final return will not diminish. You can be the cream of the crop. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And you're gonna finish. You're gonna finish. You're gonna finish. You game? I live across the street from you, just remember. On time. Welcome to Cabaret's 20th CabaretFest 20th year. 20th year. And as I said before, I've done it for 20. Well, I started it. I didn't start it. The lady who was no, that's a whole story in itself. John O'Neill started the damn thing, right? John O'Neill started it, and then it kind of went south for a couple of years, and the wonderful Patricia Fitzpatrick brought it back. So can we give Patricia a nice, warm welcome?
Well, it's been a long life. When I was 17, I started out as an apprentice at the Cape Cod Playhouse. And I met a couple of girls, and they said, you know, what are you going to do with your life? I said, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to meet a college guy and get married and be secure. And they said, no. Come with us to New York. Do all the cattle calls. So I sat down and wrote the University of Michigan, I'm not coming. Now I had to tell my folks. Well, I started with my dad, because that was easy, because he was in the business. Then I went and told my mother. And her reaction was to stand up, walk across the kitchen, and slap me across the face, which had never happened in my life. And she said, you're not going to New York with a bunch of Lebanese girls. That's how I felt. So I said, Lebanese, they're Irish and Italian. I did not know that was her euphemism for lesbians. So I followed my mother's advice. But I had always wanted to go to New York and be I'm just a Broadway baby. I'm walking off my tired feet, pounding 42nd Street just to be in a show. Oh, Broadway baby, I'll learn how to sing and dance, waiting for my one big chance just to be in a show. I want to be on some marquee, all twinkling in lights, a spark that lights the dark from Battery Park to Washington Heights. And someday, maybe, if I stick it long enough, I'll be able to strut my stuff, working for a nice man like a Weissman or a Sid Meier in a great big Broadway show. Well, that's what I wanted to do, but that's not what I did. I wound up going to university, a Catholic university, and I met Mr. Wright, and he proposed marriage, and I wasn't sure. So I had to sit down and talk to a friend. She said, you've got to weigh your odds back and forth. So finally he called me up and he said, I waited 2 weeks for an answer to my proposal. So I had a quandary. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm weak, maybe I'm strong. Nevertheless, I'm in love with you.
Maybe I'll win.
Maybe I'll win, and maybe I'll lose. Maybe I'll wind up singing the blues. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Somehow I know in advance, terrible chance I might be taking. I'll be fine at the start, left with a heart that is aching. Maybe I'll give more than I get. Maybe I'll live a life of regret. Nevertheless, I'm in love with you.
Somehow I knew at a glance the terrible chances I'm taking. Fine at the start, but left with a heart that is aching. Maybe I'll live
a life of regret. Maybe I'll give much more than I get. Nevertheless,
I'm in love
oh,
with you.
nevertheless, I'm in love with you. That's just like we rehearsed it, Bobby. Well, it got to the point where I was married and living in the suburbs of Michigan, and my husband wound up being the vice president of Cadillac Motors, which was pretty nice, but I was Mrs. Edward McGilligan. I wasn't me. And then one day, my neighbor called me up and said, we have a community theater. And I know you used to want to go and be in theater. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. So I got permission from my husband to go and try out for a show. And I wound up getting the lead in Guys and Dolls. And when I hit that stage, I was alive again for the first time in 10 years. It was my moment. But I had to think about, I could be happy, I could be sad, I could be good, I could be bad. It all depends on you.
I could be lonely out in a crowd. I could be humble. I could be proud. I've got a microphone. It all depends on you. Somehow I knew
In
at
advance
glance
the terrible chances I'm taking. I'd be fine at the start. I'd be left with a heart that is breaking. Maybe I'll give more than I get. Maybe I'll live a life of regret. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you. It's a tough decision to make. The comfortable suburban housewife, married with 100 children, or that spotlight in regional theater. Maybe I'll give much more than I get. Maybe I'll live a life of regret. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you. So I stepped on that stage, and I loved it. And it was that va-va-vum. Let me entertain you.
Yeah,
moment.
baby.
Let me entertain you. Let me make you smile. I'll do some old tricks, some new and then some bold tricks. I'm very versatile.
That's what they say.
And if you're real good, I'll make you feel good. I'll make your temperature rise. Let me entertain you. We'll have a real good time. Yes, sir. We'll have a real good time.
One more time, Pat. Sell it. Sell it, sell it, sell it.
Let me entertain you. Let me make you smile. I'll do some old tricks, some new and then some old tricks. I'm very versatile.
And if you're real good,
I'll make you feel good.
I want your spirit to climb. Let me
Entertain you. And we'll have a real good time. Yes, sir. We'll all
the real
good time.
Yeah, baby.
Don't you just love singing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
That's the middle of the
Wow.
night.
So I called all my neighbors and said, guess what? I'm in a show. You gotta come see me. And they went, no, I have PTA. I have this to do. I've got to go talk to my real estate agent. I'm working with a builder. And I thought, oh, they're missing out on so much because
If
if they could, thank you for the whole brain word. Let's go back. Oh, if they could see me now, that little gang of mine. I need some fancy food and drinking, fancy wine. I like those summer bums to see for a fact. The kind of top drawer, first rate friends I attract. All I can say is, wow, look at where I am. Tonight I landed, pow. A pot of jam, what a setup. Holy cow, they'll never believe me if my friends could see me now.
If they could see me now, that little dusty group strutting round this $1 million chicken coop. I get those humble bums. Hey brother, get her draped on a bedspread made of 3 kinds of fur. All I can say is wow. Look at where I am. I landed, pow. Pot of jam.
What a setup. Holy cow, they'd never believe it if my friends could see
Again.
me.
Friends could see me.
Friends could see me now.
Now.
CabaretFest is for students to come and learn from the pros. Do not look at this show.
That's not true.
That's
Okay.
not true.
Bobby
is
and I
not-
have been performing
that is not
together
true.
for a million years, and we threw this show together in the living room in about 5 minutes, so bear with us. When I had to go back to my husband and say that I actually preferred the theater to being at home all the time, he said, well, that's it. I'm done. And I've heard that he was sad.
Is it my song or yours?
Yours.
My song. I no longer have the strength to cry, and now I'm glad that it's goodbye. I never loved you. That's a lie. I no longer have the strength to weep those empty nights I couldn't sleep. I never loved you. That's a lie. I know that we're through, but promise me there's a place in your heart that still belongs to me. I no longer miss your warmth, your kiss. I'm happier alone like this. I never loved you. That's a lie. I know that we're through, but promise me there's a place in your heart that still belongs to me. I no longer have the strength to cry, and now I'm glad that it's goodbye. I never loved you. I never loved you. I never loved you. That's a lie. Didn't that cheer you up? Didn't that cheer you up?
For those of you who do not know, Bobby wrote that song.
Oh, let's hear it.
Give him a nice round.
Danke.
So there's sadness on both sides. My husband was hurt. He had given me everything that a suburban housewife wanted. A lovely home in the suburbs, 5 beautiful children, a car with no reverse. That was mine. His went beautifully. And I spent about a year alone. And I wasn't quite sure that that was the right decision to have made. The sun comes up, I think about you. A coffee cup, I think about you. And do they know it's like I'm losing my mind? The morning ends, I think about you. I talk to friends and think about you. And do they know it's like I'm losing my mind? All afternoon doing every little chore, the thought of you stays bright. Sometimes I stand in the middle of the floor, not going left, not turning right. I dim the lights and think about you, spend sleepless nights and think about you. You said you loved me, or were you just being kind? Or am I losing my mind?
You said you loved me, or were you just being kind?
Or am I losing my mind? So, eventually I went to the pianist who worked at the Birmingham Village Players. He looked an awful lot like Bobby Weatherby. And and I said to him, what am I going to do? I mean, I think I've messed my whole life up. I've given up security, you know, for this fabulous flash of of playing Adelaide or playing Daisy May or doing whatever. And so his advice to me was this.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy mask of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe out that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin and spread sunshine all over the place. Put on a happy face.
So contagious. Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Wipe out the clouds and cheer up. Just put on a happy face. Don't let the gloomy mask of tragedy get you down. You'll be so glad that you decided to frown. I was so gloomy, she didn't laugh or sing. She wouldn't listen to me, now she's a mean old thing. And spread sunshine all over the place. And put on a happy,
Again.
put on a happy,
Again. Put on a happy face. Yeah. I can't read the next one.
You can't read my writing.
I can't read your writing. Something on the.
She's a doctor.
She's a doctor.
No business.
No.
Enjoy the rehearsal.
Seven. We're in the money. Some on the money. There. We'll skip it.
Go to There's No Business.
Okay.
Hey, isn't this fun? We're writing a show right in front of you. Elaine Stritch had a wonderful At Liberty album. I had it in my car one day, and I was listening to her version of this song, and I realized it was pretty much, what I had had in mind all along, and it kind of cheered me up. The costumes, the scenery, the makeup, I hate it, I need it. The props, the audience that lifts you when you're down. The headaches, the heartaches, the backaches, the flops. The sheriff who escorts you out of town, well, not exactly out of town, but down the line at Truro, drunk and disorderly at 2 o'clock in the morning. The opening when your heart beats like a drum. The closing when the customers don't come. Damn, there's no business like show business like no business I know. Everything about it is a feeling. Everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere do you get that special feeling as when you're stealing that extra bound. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Even with the turkey that you know will fold, you may be standing out in the cold. Still you wouldn't trade it for a sack of gold.
Try me.
Let's go with this show. Well, a number of years ago, Bobby Weatherby was working at the Actors Studio in New York. He was a rehearsal pianist, and they brought in Marilyn Monroe. And Bobby gave her a song to sing, and she looked at the song and the lyrics. She was no dummy. And she said, I don't understand it. And Bobby said, "Oh, Marilyn, just singing it." So this is her song. You say tomato, and I say tomato. You say potato, and I say potato. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Let's call the whole thing off. There's no business like show, business like no business I know. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you opened and there you are. Next thing on your dressing room they've hung a star. Let's go on with the show. Let's go on with the show. Yeah. Woo!
7 in the morning, Mary. Okay, whatever. What? I still can't figure that one out. Okay, go, friend.
I walked into a bar here in Provincetown, 15, 20 years ago. And I heard Bobby Weatherby playing a song. And I knew he wrote a lot of his own music. So I listened to the song and I thought, that encapsulates my life. Because giving up the suburban security and stepping into the world of poverty was just so much fun that all I could count on were my friends. And Bobby was one of them. And when something would go wrong, I would call him up. And I would sing the song or say the song that he sang that I thought was his. But it really wasn't. It was from a show called I'm Going on the Road.
Getting my act together and taking it on the road.
Every time I lose another lover, I call up my old friend and I say, let's get together. I'm under the weather. Another lover's come to an end. And he listens as I tell him my sad story. And he wonders at my taste in men. And he ponders why I do it and the pain of getting through it. And Bobby laughs and says, you'll do it all again. And we sit in this bar and we talk till 2 about life and love, like old friends do. And we tell each other what we've been through. Our love is rare, life is strange, and nothing lasts. People change. And I ask him if he's ever lonely, if he's ever known despair. And he says he's learned to love it. That's all really a part of it. Helps them know the good times when they're there. And we sit in this bar and talk till 2 about life and love, like real friends do. And tell each other what we've been through. Our love is rare, life is strange, and nothing lasts. People change. And I ask him, should I take another lover? Should I just go it on my own? And the bartender's dozing, it's almost time for closing, and Bobby says, you'll try it on your own. that we'll meet the year that we're 62, and we'll travel the world like old friends do, and we'll tell each other what we've been through. Our love is rare, life is strange, and nothing lasts. People change. Love is rare, and life is very strange, and nothing lasts. People change. Old friend. Yes.
Yeah.
We had this show so tight, ladies and gentlemen. We worked on it for weeks. And then last night I ran into Nick King, who said, I've seen you do a show and I love the song that you did towards the end, so we've added it in. This is for you, Nicky. But it also is what I had to say to my children as they got older and went on to be successful human beings. And they were sort of like, Mom, we can't believe that your life actually worked out. Perhaps, that seems a little low.
A little low?
Yeah.
Perhaps. Perhaps I have.
Thank you. It's a master class here. Perhaps I had a wicked childhood. Perhaps I had a miserable youth. But somewhere in that wicked, miserable past, there must have been one moment of truth. For here you are, there you are, loving me, whether or not you should. 'Cause somewhere in that wicked, miserable past, I must have done something good. Nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. 'Cause somewhere in that wicked, miserable past, I must have done something good. Nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. But somewhere in that wicked, miserable past, I must have done something good.
I see.
You go through your life, you make decisions. We've all done them. We go backwards at night and we try to think, maybe if I'd gone left instead of going right, maybe I voted for Hillary, things would be different. But in the long run, on a day like today in Provincetown with this beautiful sun and these wonderful people sitting here in the gorgeous courtyard of Gabriel's, Mike Renzi, Angela Beccari, Nick King, Joe Delapina, Sid Meier. You realize, not a bad world after all. I see trees of green, red roses too. I've seen them bloom for me and for you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright golden days and the dark mystic nights. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends holding hands, saying, how do you do? They're only saying, I love you. I heard babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Let's do it all again, Pat.
Everybody, everybody.
I see trees
The green, red roses too. I've seen them bloom for me and for you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The colors of the rainbow, so free in the sky, are also in the faces of people walking by. I see friends holding hands, saying, how do you do? They're only saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching the show being put together right in front of you. Welcome to CabaretFest and stay for Joe Delapina, who's right after us. Thank you.